Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Secretary for Finance and the Economy, Joel Jack, addresses the media.
I'm pleased to inform you this afternoon that in the next sitting of the Assembly on November 22nd, and consistent with our commitment in this administration to continuously report to the people of Tobago and to the national community, we'll be having a special sitting to debate the reallocation of the Assembly's budgetary resources for fiscal 2018-2019. You may recall in this year's budget that the Tobago House of Assembly for fiscal 2019, the budget package which I had the pleasure of presenting in the legislature, total $4.7 billion, of which 3.23 was for recurrent expenditure, 1.38 for development program expenditure, and $70 million and $54 million for URP and CPEP respectively. You may also recall that in the national budget, the Ministry of Finance allocated to the Tobago House of Assembly $2.2 billion, of which $1,979 million was allocated for recurrent expenditure, $231.6 million for development program, and $18 million for the unemployment relief program. The overall budgetary allocation to the Assembly represents 4.3% of the overall national budget and is consistent with the recommendations as outlined by the Dispute Resolution Commission's recommendation, or DRC. In view of the budgetary allocation to the Assembly for this year, and has been the tradition since 2013, since coming into office, over the past 6 years of my tenure as Secretary of Finance, I'll have the pleasure of leading the debate, and as we return to the House to reprioritize our projects and programs and outline in detail the strategy to manage the affairs of the island as we continue to advance Tobago's socioeconomic development agenda. The motion aims to sensitize all of Tobago and the national public on the various issues, various initiatives of the Assembly over the next financial year. Just a few highlights in terms of what you can expect. Again, we'll outline our priority programs and projects. We will also outline in detail how we propose to mobilize recurrent resources, how we propose as well to deploy contingencies, resources, and how we also an update as we roll out our alternative financing mechanisms program as we try to utilize bond financing and public-private partnership, or P3 mechanisms, to supplement our shortfall. Additionally, we will treat with some revenue enhancement measures as we seek to increase Tobago's revenue potential. Let me again reiterate that this administration, that we are committed to ensuring that Tobago's developmental momentum continues, notwithstanding our budgetary resources for this fiscal year. And the motion as well will highlight this in greater detail. I'm also pleased to announce this afternoon the hosting of our annual Finance Week celebrations. The Division of Finance and the Economy, we look forward as you seek to engage the people of Tobago and the wider national community and persons beyond as we host Finance Week during the period November 12th to the 23rd. And commencing on Monday, November 12th, we will have our annual Thanksgiving service at the penthouse of the Victory Bruce Financial Complex. This will be followed by a series of what I like to term our corporate responsibility mandate, as we work with persons in the community, some physically challenged kids, and some other initiatives that we undertake in the division. A lot of the staff members, they are also excited as we seek to extend our community outreach programs. We'll also be holding customer appreciation days, staff social and other events that would span a 2 to 3 week period, and it will also serve in some instances as a launch pad for further activities, additional activities in the division in the new financial year. Our signature events during Finance Week 2018 will include the second annual Financial Literacy Breakfast meeting on Wednesday 14th November at 8 a.m. at the Victory Bruce Financial Complex. The Division of Finance and the Economy will be hosting our second annual breakfast meeting theme, the FinTech Revolution, Understanding FinTech, Blockchain Technology and Digital Currencies. And again, the date is Wednesday 14th November from 8 a.m. right here at the Victor E. Bruce Financial Complex. Let me say that we are aware of the globalization and as well as the technical innovations. This has led to a revolution in terms of in the financial services industry. And we are aware of the new advances in technology. This has enabled an environment that seeks to deliver services in more relevant and convenient ways to consumers and businesses. There has been a permanent disruption in traditional financial services, and we have a responsibility here in the Division of Finance and the Economy to ensure that we inform the business community, to ensure that we inform our partners in the financial services industry as to what obtains as it relates to fintech, blockchain technology, and digital currencies. And we will be delving into areas such as cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and although they are still strange to us here in Tobago, I think we have a responsibility to inform the wider Tobago community. So I want to urge persons, and we have Ms. Avinda Bharat, Senior Manager of Financial Technology and Information Security of the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Hayden Gittins, Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as Mr. Garth Thomas, Managing Director and Financial Advisor of the Comprehensive Planners Associates Limited. So we have a very competent group of facilitators that we have engaged to ensure that the topic is adequately dealt with. I'm also pleased to announce that the 8th Annual Youth Empowerment Forum will be hosted on Friday, 16th November at 8:30 a.m. at the Magdalena Grand Beach Resort. Let me say that I'm excited about the Youth Forum this year, as the Youth Forum takes the lead this year ahead of the Tobago Economic and Business Outlook Conference. But this year's Youth Forum will host a series of young entrepreneurs who are on the cutting edge, leading in various areas. And this year we are also pleased that our keynote speaker for the Youth Forum this year will be Trinidadian Master Tailor, Mr. Sir Andrew Ramroop. He, I think, will be an exciting addition to the Youth Forum. As you know, his main operations is based on Savile Row. And for persons who like fine tailored garments, one of his suits range in the vicinity of UK $8,000. So it really highlights the prospects for young Tobagonians who are seeking to get into fashion and the garment industry. And we'll be having Mr. Andrew Ramroop, as well as other young, talented entrepreneurs who are exploring new and novel fields. We'll be also launching during the Youth Forum on Friday 16th a mini business mogul competition aimed at school children and young adults as we seek to encourage entrepreneurship among our young people and as we seek to promote innovation throughout the island. I'm also pleased to announce that the 12th annual Tobago Economic and Outlook Business Conference, Tobago Economic and Business Outlook Conference, will be held on Tuesday, 20th November at 8:30 a.m. at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. And let me say that this conference is in keeping with our mandate to accelerate Tobago's sustainable economic agenda, even in the face of our recent economic challenges. And we will focus on several key topics. We'll also be highlighting, as we have done in previous years, the economic outlook for Trinidad and Tobago and some policy prescriptions for Tobago. This will be presented by Dr. Terence Farrell. Our keynote speaker this year will be Dr. Ronald Walcott, Chief Executive Officer of TSTT. Dr. Walcott's presentation will focus on leveraging ICT as an enabler of socioeconomic development as we seek to ensure that we transition Tobago to become an intelligent island. We will also have a presentation from the Inter-American Development Bank as on financing private sector and public sector development, and a host of other topics. And I want to encourage the business community, both here in Tobago and in Trinidad, and persons in the financial services sector, all young and budding entrepreneurs. This year's conference will be exciting, and I don't think you should take the chance to miss any of the segments. Come early, register, and they can call the office to register ahead of time. Another important initiative geared towards young adults here on the island will be hosted by the Youth Energized for Success as they host their Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow, a youth entrepreneurship workshop. This is the second iteration of this program, and some of the topics will include financial management, record keeping, as we seek to ensure that we have our young entrepreneurs engaged, motivated, and informed as it relates to entrepreneurship. And this program will continue during during this fiscal year, following the Finance Week celebrations. At the end of this Youth Energized for Success workshop, it is envisioned that the knowledge gained will allow entrepreneurs to track and measure their performance and also identify problem areas, and as well as new opportunities to minimize risk. I'm also pleased this afternoon to highlight some of the activities that we had the pleasure of supporting during this year's Cooperative and Credit Union Month 2018. On October 18th, the world celebrated the 70th anniversary of the International Credit Union Day under the theme, Finding Your Platinum Lining in Credit Unions. The Tobago Regional Chapter of the Credit Union, of the Cooperative Credit Union League, marked this occasion with a number of initiatives which included a youth symposium, a cocktail reception, an education conference, and as well as a dinner and awards ceremony. Let me say that on October 27th, I attended and participated in the dinner and awards ceremony, and I was particularly heartened by the recognition that was given to a number of successful entrepreneurs who were able to finance a number of their business enterprises via their credit unions. And I want to applaud the Tobago Credit Union League and a number of the societies for partnering with us and heeding to our clarion call to come on board and support entrepreneurship and business expansion on the island. As Secretary of Finance and the Economy, with responsibility to ensure that we continue to stimulate economic activity, I just wanted to highlight some of the major points that I made during the awards ceremony. I commended them, and I also recognized the important role that credit unions play in the Tobago landscape, and urge credit unions to come on board and to partner with us as the Assembly explores alternative financing mechanisms as we seek to advance this island's development. I also asked them to look at some of the new initiatives that were well underway as it relates to our alternative financing mechanisms such as PPPs and bond financing, and for them to look at some of the instruments that will come on the market as potential areas for investing. We also underscored the need, first the importance of the credit unions, and given the fact that when we looked at the data recently in terms of the contribution of the financial services sector to the island, that sector contributed approximately 24% of the island's GDP. And given the importance of the size of the assets under management of some of the societies, we know that we are well aware of the important role of credit unions here on the island, and we continue to urge them of the need to assist us with our diversification mandate, and as well as the need to channel some of the investments, some of the savings, and to productive investments. I also outlined a couple of initiatives that we would host in conjunction with the Credit Union League here in Tobago. What we're hoping to undertake during this fiscal year is an expansion of the Junior Cooperative Initiative, or the Junior Corp. As we all know it, growing up, the Junior Corp might have been our first savings vehicle outside of our piggy bank at home. And we would like to see a revival of that initiative across primary and secondary schools here on the island. Additionally, I gave a commitment to assist in hosting the Youth Forum as part of the Credit Union's annual celebration. I think that youth segment, Youth Credit Union Conference, was such an overwhelming success. And given the response of the young people, the division has agreed to partner with the Tobago Credit Union League as they roll out this program as part of their annual activity. Let me again give a commitment that we'll continue to work with the credit union. The credit unions, as I have done since coming into office in 2013, I remember when the league was faced with the challenge of the new legislation. We partnered with them and undertook a study to ensure that the league was ready to face the impending changes that were outlined in the legislation at the time. And though the legislation was not enacted and is not on the parliamentary agenda this time, we'll continue to work with the credit unions here on the island and the Credit Union League to ensure that the societies and the credit unions are prepared for future changes on the financial services landscape. And again, let me congratulate the credit union movement and the league on their achievement in this year and for what they have achieved over the years, and to encourage them to continue to work in support of some of the persons who might have fallen outside of the formal banking system, and to really continue to serve the respective communities in a meaningful way as they have done over the past years. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that this administration, we continue to play our part to advance this island's socioeconomic development agenda, and we continue to do so as we monitor what is happening on the international, regional, and national landscape, and we continue to work with our partners in the central government to ensure that we are able to advance and to make good on our commitment as we have outlined since coming into office. And let me say that I want to urge all Tobagonians to partner with us, to make use of some of the opportunities that are available, and also to come and have that constant dialogue when we host the forums such as the Finance Week and International Business Outlook Conference. These conferences and these initiatives are important, not just to inform, but also to educate persons as to the possibilities that exist in terms of funding and advancing this island's development, and as well some of the opportunities that are available as it relates to advancing private sector development.
You talk about Tobago's development momentum, right? You have been Finance Secretary for the last 6 years, right? Give us some indicators of Tobago's development momentum that you're talking about.
If you recall, every time I outline either my budget presentation or the reallocation, or what we call the second budget in Tobago, it's always anchored on some economic data for the island, as well as what is happening regionally and internationally. So in terms of this division, we track what is happening with the island in terms of unemployment data, which is at the last count was 3.4%, well below the 5%. That 5% level, which is it's a good gauge as to what is happening as it relates to unemployment, as it relates to inflation, again relatively low, you know, we also collect GDP data on the island, and as I indicated in my budget, we saw a slight decline in GDP in one or two sectors. Other sectors experienced significant growth. But as I indicated, we continue to keep up pulse as to what is happening, and And based on that, we make various recommendations moving forward. I would also like to indicate that Tobago is not isolated, nor is it insulated from what is happening in the national, regional, or international environment, and economic shocks that occur internationally in some of our major source markets as it relates to the tourism sector will impact us, and as well what is happening nationally. As you're aware, what is happening to the country, we're just out of a period of structural adjustment where we saw a couple, several years of economic decline, and the latest figures point to economic recovery of around 2% of GDP nationally. So in that context, we continue to monitor what is happening and ensure that economic activity on the island is not stymied, because as you're well aware, the House of Assembly is the key driver of economic activity here in Tobago. And government expenditure it's important, as well as expenditure in the tourism sector and the financial services sector, as we seek to keep the Tobago economy buoyant. I also highlighted GDP data, which is a measure you use primarily to gauge the growth. We have seen year on year, as I reported in my budget, a slight decline of just under, it was 1.8%. And we project that in the next corresponding period, we are on a growth trajectory at the moment. The numbers that have been bandied about out there are numbers without any sort of, that are unsubstantiated, to put it. And what we did as an assembly, following a meeting with the chamber, we requested that the information that they are quoting, that we look at it, we evaluate it, and that we evaluate the data, because we collect data as well. So it will have given us an opportunity to evaluate their data and match it against what our data is saying. And that was not done. So we are still waiting on it. What we have done subsequently is that we have formed a committee of the Assembly and the Chamber in terms of to iron out some of the details to moving forward, to evaluate some of the challenges that were experienced previously, and to have a shared roadmap as we seek to roll out a number of our initiatives to ensure that the Chamber and other stakeholders are aware of as to what we're doing, and to some of the opportunities and benefits that could accrue to persons in the business community. This national economic challenge that we're having, we also have to look at it in the context as to what we're doing to ensure we have economic resilience. We are working with the tourism sector. We have recently launched a rebranded marketing thrust. The Chief Secretary and the Secretary of Tourism, they're also currently in the UK at the World Travel Market, and so far we are seeing a lot of positive prospects coming out from that initiative. And with a revitalized tourism sector, with a projected increased cruise tourism season, and as we continue to seek investment, foreign direct investment, coming to the island, I think the future is bright and the prospects are indeed positive for the island over the next 12 years, 36 months, and even extended to a 5-year period. In terms of some of the major projects that will come on stream soon will be the construction of the new ANR airport terminal. And as we work with our partners at the central government level, we'll see a couple of other major projects coming on stream. So while we're coming out of this national economic slowdown, and all things point to a recovery of just under 2% year-on-year growth in GDP, the prospects are positive.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending November 10th, 2018.